Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to look at oil and natural gas, do our daily technical analysis update. And what I'm going to look at today is I'm going to do some comparisons for you guys, show you some comparisons that I look at and show you how well these things track together. It's really, a lot of this stuff's financially driven. It's not as driven as supply and demand. I mean, it is and it isn't. It's all interconnected and interlinked together. So I'm gonna throw a couple of comparisons up here for you guys. Maybe you haven't seen it, maybe you have, and I'll show you some cool things. And again, this is just my financial opinion. Please don't use it as advice. So let's dive right in. So what I have is West Texas oil here. We've been moving on up. It's following my little scribble pattern that I was jokingly put in by pure luck. I'm going to add the 10-year yield into this. And what you're going to see is that this thing more or less follows the 10-year yield very loosely. And I mean, it makes sense that it follows it very loosely, and it's obviously going to be amplified to some degree. But the 10-year usually follows oil. So oil goes up, 10-year yield goes up. So that's what we've got for that. I'm going to get this out of here. And looking at the actual move, I mean, it's okay. It's got okay momentum. Nothing really to say too much there. Natural gas had a down day today, shooting off its trajectory of my made-up drawing there. But we've got cold weather coming. We'll see what happens here. We got SM Energy. SM Energy had a decent day today, 1% up day. It's holding on. It's right at resistance. And that resistance is this the neckline of the reverse head and shoulders. And we may pause here for a little bit. One thing I want to point out here. Here's the big pattern. This was the C19 detour that we took, where you can get some cool shares for very cheap. And then we came back up, and we're still, I think, at the beginning of this bull market. And this was just a detour. That's what I think. Looking at CDEV, I'm going to probably throw something up here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to compare the 10-year yield with it. And then I'm going to click on this. Give me the finger. There we go. I pin it like this. Tell me if you notice any sort of correlation here, guys. So I've got the 10-year yield and then oil. Looks the same to me. So if oil goes up and we rocket higher, what do you think? What do you think the 10-year yield is going to do? Probably going to go higher. That's my guess. That's a correlation I saw there. CDEV, looking at that one, we're just bouncing sideways. No big deal. Buyers are still in control, in my opinion. Crew Energy, again, this thing doesn't look too bad. We've been in this channel. We bounced out a little bit, popped right back into it. I think we're just waiting for a little bit higher oil prices. Then we're going to go to the moon, guys. We broke out of the downtrend line. We're just did a little bit of a return move, and I think we're going to move on higher at some point. Here's Callon Petroleum Company. Again, just looking for any patterns there. We've got a reverse inverted shoulder head shoulder, double head. And we're on the right-hand side of it, and we're just waiting for higher oil prices. Small down days, big up days. That's exactly what we want to see. Everything looks good. Athabasca Oil, we are chilling out below this resistance line, and we're trying to break through it. We need higher oil prices, I think, to do that. But everything looks good. Good buying pressure, small selling pressure. It's all in check. Here's recaf. Recaf, and I like these types of patterns. A descending wedge. We broke out to the upside. We've got more descending wedges, and we're just kind of coiled up. There's not much sellers here. It's like just leaking off a little bit of sellers when it sells off. So I think it looks good. Northern Oil and Gas. So when you look at this, we have a descending wedge. We've broken it to the upside. We've got little small sell-off, nothing too big. The thing that gets me really hyped about Northern Oil and Gas is when you scroll out, you're like, hey, look, we got another little wedge here. And then you just see the mother lode of the wedges. And what I see here is a monster wedge. This is a monster declining wedge pattern that we've broken to the upside. And if you guys, what I do is I accumulate shares, I hold on, and I just wait for this to launch higher with higher oil prices. And that's all I'm doing with all these companies. Reverse inverted shoulder, head, shoulder. It's a monster pattern to move to the upside. And this is the beginning of a bull market in oil. So I buy this stuff, I hold on, I don't trade in and out. And right now, this is right at a good spot, I think, to hopefully push this higher with oil prices because we're above the resistance line here. So it looks good. Grand Tier Energy. Again, if you look at this one here, let me zoom in a little bit. It's kind of like a shoulder, head, shoulder. It's a mutated one, just like the other ones. And I think we'll eventually head a lot higher. Zooming out, the pattern's up here, so we did a little detour, and we're just making our way back. Still of good value. Tellurian, we popped up to the downside. We're doing a little bit of a detour before hopefully moving higher. Pedevco, we are still grinding hard in this big pattern down here. And again, guys, I don't know the fundamentals of Pedevco, but this does look quite compelling down here. Hopefully it can hold and break to the upside. You could see a big move, big short squeeze on it. Oasis just moving on up. We broke out of the pattern, the uptrend line, and hopefully we can re-engage. Do a Maverick, re-engage. Exactly. Maverick. All right, so we pulled up here, broke out of the pattern. We did a retest move. I liked it down here. I bought a little bit. I won't lie, I did. And I've been holding on to it. I bought some down here when someone first recommended it on the channel. Thank you for recommending it. And it's just squeezed up. We popped to the upside, and we're doing a little retest. So this thing looks really good on a long-term perspective. On the dailies, yeah, it's kind of just popping sideways for a little bit. It's more of a natural gas company. Same with Sandridge, just popping sideways. We popped out of this little pattern to the downside and just moving sideways. Downtrend line break, and then we have the big move. That's what you want to hold. You want to hold on. Ring Energy, downtrend line, which I didn't draw in, looks like. There's your downtrend line. And then we have, it looks like kind of like an inverted head and shoulders that's playing on here, like right there. And this guy, we're just doing what CDEV and those other ones are doing, I should say. We're just kind of coming sideways. And this is the Omicron variant fear down here. It brought us back down. We were about to run. We were about to go to the promised land. But the fear brought us back. It did. It brought us back. Now here's Surge Energy, another one that I think looks really good. I can see a shoulder, head, shoulder in it. It's really low right here. You know, I think it's got good value for Surge Energy. That's one to look into, I think. And same with Tamarack Valley Energy, another one that looks really good. Let's zoom out. We had the detour of the C19 variant. We're coming back, and we're in the pattern, about to break to the upside of that pattern. It's a big pattern, guys, and we're right there trying to break to the upside of it. That's where the value's at. Breaking these big patterns. Tetra Technologies is doing the same thing on a long-term perspective. Big pattern. We're back in the pattern. It's just delayed behind the exploration companies. So energy service companies would be spots I would be looking at now and trying to accumulate a little bit in. I got super lucky. I did buy some at 50 cents for Tetra Technologies. It was pretty scary down here. I won't lie. But when this popped higher and it came back, it was like right there when I bought, how this came to a dead period, and I was like, ooh, this is it. And I just been holding on, not doing anything with my shares. And sorry, guys, they're not for sale. Rig, I got a little bit of rig too, down, not as good as the purchase price. It was somewhere up here though. But I do think this is going to eventually turn itself around. We've got Pump. I mean, how can you not like a company called Pump? Zoom in, we have a big old pattern, candlestick pattern. We're at the bottom. Just be careful here. One thing I don't like seeing is you've got this high here, you got a lower high and a lower high. So hopefully this can turn this and close above 880. EXTN still got some selling pressure in here, guys. Still has some selling pressure. Just trying to zoom way out. It's of good value down here though. It's really low. 292. It could get lower. We'll see. If it comes back up, might be a good spot to be looking at it if you guys like Exterion Corporation. I'm just kind of getting these in my watch list, so I might be firing some off here in the future with some new cash that I get. Valaris looks really good. It's getting a little bit of selling pressure up here. Got some resistance. But overall, if you were to just look at it, you've got a low, higher low, higher low, and it's just stepping on up. And we're just stuck in this little area, getting a little bit of sellers. You just draw that across there. MRM, this is MMA Offshore Limited. This one looks really good down here. There's a lot of selling pressure here, but kind of looking at this, if we step up into that line and break through it, it looks compelling. Tidewater, another one that looks really good. I'd shoot some off a little bit for these deep sea drilling companies. This is NEX, Next Tier Oilfield Solutions. Again, this doesn't look too bad if it can hold and break through this downtrend line. CHX, could throw a little kind of trend line through here. We're still trying to break it. These guys are still cheap. This is Cactus Incorporated. I'm not sure too much about this one. I was kind of just throwing in a bunch. OII, Oceaneering International. Again, I'm just kind of seeing that this is broken its downtrend line. So that one looks good too. Higher lows all stepping up into it. And we're just kind of bopping sideways at the moment. Noble Corporation, another one that I think is pretty good for a long-term hold. Another deep sea drilling company, low, higher low. And yeah, it's good cycling back and forth, but it's of good value. And then HLX is another one that I've been watching. It has a monster pattern that is a descending wedge. I'm just seeing when this thing is going to turn. I'm adding in sparingly into it. So I sparingly added in here. I think it was here. Maybe it was here. I think it was twice. I think I did it in here. I think I did it in here. But it is still in a downtrend, unfortunately. And I'm gonna keep that in front of me. And I think these will be good for a long-term way to play the oil move is through some of these energy service companies. So that's what I've got for today for the oil, natural gas, and energy service companies. I'm looking at the energy service companies because they're still way down. Even the explorers are really cheap. I mean, guys, we're at the beginning of this big bull market, and I'm quite bullish on all of it. So when I make money, if something's down, I just sprinkle a little bit in and keep going. That's kind of how I'm playing it. If you guys like this type of analysis and you want to see this on a daily basis, subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up for the content if you like it. Put comments below if you guys have any questions for anything. And thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.